Hello, this is Chet with the Norse Click, and today we have Mike returning from the Norse Click. He's been gone for a while, but he's back again to accompany us through another
What's up, guys?
Visual representation of one of our ideas. This is a lot of Mike's work. This is the Copper Sphere Theorem. So if you'd like to provide an introduction for the viewers, go ahead.
Yeah, guys, so basically this is the Copper Sphere Theorem. Well, this is basically a theorem we've been working on for 5 years now, about. And it's called the Copper Sphere Theorem. You can see right there a picture of somebody caressing 4 copper spheres, which is not fucking recommended, okay?
No, definitely not. No.
Especially the small ones, because the simplicity of them is not good for the brain. Anyway,
The smaller they are, the denser and more concentrated the power is.
Quite literally stole the words out of my mouth. Okay. So I think we can continue.
Alright. Yeah, you'll have to tell me when to advance the slides, because I'm not very good with computers and all of that, because they're watching us at all times.
So, a sphere is one of the 7 basic shapes. It's also known as a circle or ball, if you've done any research about spheres.
I believe it's sometimes referred to in ancient Latin texts as a rotunda, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep.
Okay. I think that's all. Is this an introductory slide of basic facts? Yeah. And this is more of the details of the sphere, what you can do with them. And some of their properties, such as their unique ability among the shapes of free will and inability to be controlled by God and whatnot, you know.
Yep.
So keep this information in mind as we continue, because it'll keep coming back into the discussion.
Yeah, spheres can be manipulated. Anyway, yeah, that's all I have to say.
Alright. Now, copper, the star of the show. There's a lot to be said about copper, you know. Because it appears in so many different places because of what it is. The marriage of sand and metal, creating a type of brown iron, which in itself is really a fascinating element of, you know, science and reality and the world. If you have anything to add, like...
Copper, is actually formed by sand and metal. Not many people know this because some people are fucking... Let's just be honest, some people are fucking stupid these days. And copper is actually a type of iron, but it's more of a brown or red. You can see in the picture. Yeah, that's all. Yeah, in its basic form. It's actually the worst it's by far the worst element.
Universally, it has been hated by mankind throughout its existence, and throughout humanity's relationship with copper, it has never been a positive one. And you'll see why, but we have still found ways to harness the powers of copper in slightly harmless ways, but generally it's not great. It's usually in things that are not good things.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Copper's also a strong... Copper is also a strong type of iron sand. And if you Oh my god, do not fucking touch it. It is known to cause infections of the blood.
Yep.
And when you're... when you get infected, your blood turns into sand. And that's because of the relation, because, materials that turn blood into sand are actually identified as types of sand. So, basically,
It's a
don't
mean damn
fucking touch
chemical.
copper.
It's a mean thing. It will not relent to anybody. I've known some people who thought they could control copper, but they were wrong.
My uncle actually tried to build a copper beast, and he fucking died. He and all his friends too got fucking blasted. Don't fuck with copper.
That's a crying shame. And my friend Connor on this picture here that I added, he was sand, and he was doing all right for himself because it was a different type of iron sand that he was constructed from. And he lived a good life, but it should have been a longer life. When his life was taken by the copper lobby, they say it was an accident, but months before his death, he was growing concerned by the changes in levels of iron sand appearing around the world and the higher distribution of copper. He was a good man. And his killers, they never saw justice. So don't touch copper or you'll die and your blood will turn into sand and you'll fucking get killed. What I'm saying, basically. Now, Mike, I know gray milk is, you know a lot about gray milk and you love it, so take it away. Just go nuts.
Well, I actually like to drink gray milk because of its high fructose content. It's actually rich in fructose and also uranium, which your body needs. But it's a type of liquid sand, which they use for cameras and controlling device. The thing is, it gives the cameras abilities to take pictures of things that you can't see. So this could be ghosts. This could be government ghosts. It could be evil spies.
And music. It can see music too.
Yep. Which music is gay and fucking owned by the government, I should also say. Gray milk is in your body too, but you don't know. You didn't know.
If you know, you can find it and get it out with a needle or something else. Because you just have to find it first. And you can even take a picture with the camera if you know where to find it. I usually use to take pictures of music because sometimes it looks interesting when it's next to things. Yeah. I hate these things. Jelly worms, they creep me out. I'm glad they don't live near me. You can say that again. Usually don't have them near where I live. Because my grandpa killed them all with a shovel. He would go out there when he was bored and just murder them all. Now they're gone. Thanks, Grandpa.
Yep.
But they are important in the world of copper. Because they can produce copper spheres. That's how they were naturally created before mankind started to create them themselves. They were originally just beads, like the size of pearls, maybe a bit smaller. And they were worn as jewelry before their power was discovered as a poison.
Yep. So they feed off of sand, which is how they get their life, and they produce copper spheres, which humans got kind of inspired by. You can kill them, and you can actually eat them too, but if you eat more, it immediately causes lesions in the stomach if you eat more, and you will start vomiting and you will die within an hour. And nobody can save you.
Personally, I don't mess with that stuff. I've never had it. Have you ever had one? Didn't you have one back in,
I did. I ate one once.
Really?
Back in college, but
Yeah. What do they taste like?
copper. Believe it or not.
We don't say. Well, this ain't just a new thing, you know, copper. Copper goes way back with mankind, like I hinted at before. It's always been bad, but it's always been rare, and when things are rare, people want to get them. And people in positions of power wanted all the copper and sand, because it meant that they could do things with them like what they wanted to do. And, yeah. Copper equals power. Sand equals power. Copper and sand equals lots of power, you know?
That's actually how King Tut rose to power, because he initially was just a mere peasant.
That's right.
But because he possessed such a high amount of sand, he rose to the top. Money, like you said, sand is power.
They say in Egypt that Tut brought the sand to the Nile, and before it was dirt.
Yep. Okay, now this is something okay. You might have heard of sand nuts. Sand
Mike
nuts
and
are
sand
formed
nuts.
by-
You get Mike started on sand nuts, you better have a couple hours free.
Oh. Sand nuts are formed by sand. They are shaped by copper spheres, which kind of now you start to get connected, and you start to wonder, hold on a second. Wait a second. The ancient Egyptians ate sand nuts to fend off sandworm poisoning because they needed to digest copper spheres to ward off placard syndrome, which was caused by sand and tin and uranium. Now, sorry. Today you cannot eat sand nuts or you will die. You do not have the strong Egyptian mouth to eat them with. They had developed mouths to crunch and crack down sand nuts.
They will wreck your bones. Get them all wrecked.
You can look at them, you can touch them, you can even smell them, but don't eat them.
Now, when you think of copper, I remember the first time I learned about copper, I was thinking like copper, like David Copperfield, because when I was in school and for a couple of years, my teacher said about David Copperfield, the book, and I thought about a field of copper. But this is a myth that has been perpetuated for a while by organizations like the Department of Health. It is not anything you need to worry about. There is not a field, and there can't be a field made of copper just because of how copper is. When there's copper, it's like a desert, more of sand, not a field. And you can't grow anything in it because it kills plants.
Yep, that would be impossible.
As we mentioned before, I'll just say this first part, then you can go ahead. Because, as we said before, copper spheres can cause poison. They can cause healing, but they are bad for you. Because poison is made from bad sand, such as the sand that gets in your blood and turns your blood and body and soul into sand. Because copper spheres are just a sphere. They are perfectly spherical, and that is not good because complex shapes are the shapes on which your body and the world is based. Now you can go ahead, Mike.
Finally. Copper spheres are very dangerous. So, quickly, they can cause poison, sometimes healing, but they're made from bad types of sand. Bad sands like red sand and brown sand is also pretty nasty. I have to say, gray sand, not too good. Some people get sick from copper spheres because they get simplicity syndrome, which is where something is too simple for your brain to handle, so your immune system becomes immediately weakened. And you could get sick from anything. You can get sick from gray fleece. You can get sick from a blanket that's stinky. Anyway, it's recommended to own at least 3 because you can just fucking kill anybody.
I couldn't have said it better myself. Now, another thing, when I was talking to my son about copper, he talked about Metro Man, because in the movie that's based off of the real story, which they don't want you to know because it's a bit darker than the children-friendly version they made the movie out of, the hero Metro Man his powers don't work against copper. He can't break through it, and it makes him feel weaker. And I felt that it was a succinct example of the magic powers that copper holds within itself. Because it is not something you want to mess with. And it's part of why people hate it so much, is just because it's so powerful, and it can overpower pretty much any natural or man-made force that we have discovered so far, and that the government has let us know about. And that's just the thing.
I actually didn't know until recently that Metro Man's weakness is copper. I had no idea.
Really?
I just guess I didn't do my research.
Well, it's good that you know now, because it's part of why it's so important that the government cannot get enough copper, because if they do, nobody can stop them, not even Metro Man. And future the country will be in this shitter, then the world.
I'm shocked.
I'm sorry for cutting you off earlier. You can do this one.
Okay. Now, well, you know a lot more about that one. So, copper mixed with other sands, which sands is an anagram for soluble and nondescript sands. Now, if you've read the story Farmer's Market, it's a little short story by Jane D. Phillips, you might have heard of Metal Nuts, or you've at least heard of what's inspired by Metal Nuts, which is the Farmer's Market, which sells, famously the line is big butt sluts for big metal nuts.
That's what the girl says. That's the magic spell, right? Because if I remember, let me just recap the story for viewers who don't know at home, because it's about a little girl who goes to a farmer's market with a basket of metal nuts, and she's trying to exchange the metal nuts for various vegetables like courgettes and zucchinis at the farmer's market, and they're all saying no because they don't know what they are. But she says that incantation, the one that you said that I forgot about, and everybody got killed immediately by the power of the metal nuts. And I believe that the description in the story of how they died, which was quite violent and disturbing, matches with the symptoms of Metropolis syndrome, which is a poorly understood disease that is generally only known in the modern day due to its connection to metal nuts. Am I correct?
Yep. It's actually not. Doctors refuse to acknowledge it, which is interesting, but most people know about Metropolis syndrome. It's easily proven.
Right. It's just
It
one
is
of the
caused
it's
by
one of
metal
those
nuts.
weak points where the government is still desperately trying to prove that it doesn't exist, but everyone basically already knows.
Yep.
Like, we've all seen at least once in our childhood a young boy on the beach or in the classroom who eats a metal nut and he just turns into sand. It's really fast and scary, and it's not something you forget.
Yep. No cure for it yet. But being made of sand isn't actually that bad. You just have to be separate from other sand. This boy here got lost because he faded into the beach's sand.
Really?
Yep. Nobody's found him.
Right.
But you can't die. Well, you can actually die, but you can't get shot by a gun when you're made of
That's
sand.
nice.
Or die of malnutrition.
Mmm.
Because your body has much simpler needs. Similar.
Right.
Metropolis syndrome is closely related to simplicity syndrome.
Oh yeah, that makes sense.
Full circle.
Right.
Full sphere.
Nice play on words. We're going to be talking more about something like that because up here is the prophecy authored by one of the greatest minds in the history of Europe and the world, Dr. Hummingberg. And you do need to know a little bit about space. You can watch an earlier video on this channel to learn about that. But for the relevant information here, all we need to know is that the God, space stuff is so confusing for me. But essentially, our sister planet Periclymene will absorb our copper in about 84 years now. I can remember when it was a bit longer away. But hey, we've only got 84 years. That's close to an average human lifetime now. But in that time, the mother star and the father star will align, and as will Periclymene, which last time that happened was about 6,000 years ago, so far before we were doing anything with copper. But when the father star's solar penis just starts ejecting its solar semen into space, the magnetic force that it creates will draw out the copper, and it will all be absorbed into Periclymene. I just can't say that. I just keep tripping up every time I try to say it.
It's pretty tough.
Yep. But we're gonna have to get used to saying that name because that will be the savior of our planet and of our people.
Yep. Steel balls occurs when iron and copper sand, two basic types of sand, two primary types of sand, form a copper sphere-like iron ball, actually called steel ball. Steel ball is used for treatments of metallic aches and metal bone pains, which are usually actually caused by copper sphere. So
when I was
kind of
a kid,
cure-all.
when I was I want to say about 9 or 10, I got a nasty metallic ache because I was playing by the creek outside our house, and I stepped on some zinc, and immediately the joints in my foot started seizing and spasming, and it was a wild ride. But my mama had a steel ball. She placed it 2 the affected area of my foot, and it was almost instant. It was fascinating. And, you know, Theo Von shared a very similar story on his web show or whatever. My nephew was watching, and I heard a bit of it, and I was stunned. I was like, that's remarkably similar to what I went through, and I started paying attention, because you can't just go talking about this stuff, you know, and releasing it onto the web, because the government tries its best to run a tight ship with this sort of thing. And sure enough, they were striking them down left and right, changing the Google search results and Wikipedia and everything.
When you Google steel ball, it deletes Google from your computer. I did it and I got a warning saying your computer has 50 new viruses. And it deleted Google off my damn computer, which I just think is mighty interesting.
Oh, for sure. Now, I don't want this video to be all doom and gloom, so I did include this at the end, some things that you can do to help fight the scourge of copper on our nation today, you know. Some people will tell you to write to Congress, but you really shouldn't. It is a bit of a joke in our group here at Noah's Click.
Oh, yeah.
It really does a lot more harm than good. But this past winter, Mike and I have been spreading salt into the streets outside our homes. And why don't you tell us what sort of good it's been doing, Mike? It's been doing all sorts.
Well. Salt can absorb words, if you don't know, which words are very complicated. I was throwing salt into my street, and this fucking guy came up to me and said, stop, and he tried to pick it up, which I just think, okay, he obviously is some kind of government worker, because
Clearly.
If you didn't know, they put salt down during the winter for the ice, because salt is actually a type of sand, and ice is an anti-sand, which creates clashing between them. Mm-hmm. And the government is actually trying to stop us from using salt. I think you might know that. We're trying to use fucking, tar or black syrup or something? They want the words to feed the copper monster. It's starting to make a little sense now. Yep. They're trying to stop us from spreading salt because it stops words, which could be going to the copper monster.
I remember when I first made that connection like it was yesterday. My mind was blown. I couldn't think about anything else until I went to sleep. And I had a dream where I was talking to the woman that would later become the mother of my children, and
beautiful.
She started jacking me off because we were at a drive-in theater and we were watching a movie about the copper monster, and while she was touching my penis, I was saying words and she was saying words, and I noticed the pull the pull and the words were going in the direction of the screen, and when I turned my head, the copper monster wasn't just on the screen, it was real. And I woke up. I only got 2 hours of sleep that night. I couldn't fall back asleep. But it was worth it.
You know, it's funny you say that. The other night I had a dream where I was little flecking white strands of cream, slightly yellow grayish strands of cream. I was peeling them from beneath my foreskin and flicking them behind my bed frame, behind the little headboard. And I was thinking about the copper monster, and I was thinking about how the little strands I was flicking are just like words. Just like words flicking behind my headboard. Maybe that's the copper monster.
Into the maw, the copper monster.
Yep. Simplicity syndrome.
Well, do you wanna end that there? Do you have anything else to say about copper, sand, or metal? The copper monster.
Just be safe out there. Just stay the fuck away from copper, unless you
These
need
are
to
scary
kill
times.
enemies. Yep. Oh yeah. The good news is our president Donald Trump is actually electing to ban copper from
It's
any
true.
kind of use.
In creating more places that oil mining companies can establish businesses and drill into the earth, they're exposing more copper into the air, which creates a protective layer of oxidized material around it, which weakens the power of the copper, which is good.
Yep.
Sometimes I wish he would talk a bit less, because he does feed the copper monster quite a lot at those press addresses and whatnot. But what can you do? Them politicians is what they talk is what they do. And
Yep.
but it's nice to see a little change around here, you know.
Yep. I'm sorry, Chet. I need to really jack off. I need to fucking slam one out of my fucking cock.
I'm glad you said something. I have a raging erection right now because of when I was thinking about that dream. Oh boy. Alright. I think,
I'm gonna be honest. Imagine if I was in the back of that car watching that happen. Ooh.
I think you might have, and, anyway. Let's say goodnight to our viewers. Good night, everyone. Thank you for listening to the presentation, and stay safe. Hide. Don't look outside unless you have to. And good night.
Good night, subscribers.
If you're not subscribed yet, you should do that. It's
awesome. Literally free. But okay, anyway.